Hi team, welcome back to another video on the Behind Fixture YouTube channel. Myself and Lewis are sharing all the behind the scenes, the highs, lows and everything in between as we build Fixture into what we hope will become the go-to athlete marketing agency globally. It's been another crazy week. I've got my laptop here to go through essentially Monday to Sunday what myself and Lewis have been up to. So I will share the perspective from my calendar and then Lewis will share the perspective from what he's been up to as well.
We are fast approaching, it's been 2 weeks since Fixture launched, and I was feeling a bit rotten Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So in all honesty, I've not filmed as much content as I'd have liked, and certainly not filmed as much as week one. But I think there's an important message there that you don't have to film every day. You don't have to do the perfect vlog every single Sunday. Ellie and I have committed to doing a weekly vlog, and we will continue to do a weekly vlog. And there's going to be weeks like this week where fundamentally I've just not been able to film. I was a little bit run down, had a migraine on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. I got work done. I wasn't just in bed all day. I was resting a lot more than I would usually, napping a little bit on Wednesday. In particular Wednesday, I slept a lot of the day, cancelled quite a few meetings, pushed them back to later in the week and into next week. So I thought I'd recap some of the things that I've done this week to paint that picture of some of the highs, some of the cool conversations, some of the cool meetings, but also some of the less glamorous parts of entrepreneurship, and one of those being not feeling too well. So Ellie and I had a really good conversation with a sports lawyer on Monday. We met for about an hour and a half to talk about how we might be able to work together. So on Monday, Ellie and I met with a sports lawyer. We had a coffee in Bristol for about an hour and a half, and it was really good to get his take on the athlete marketing space and Fixture and what we're doing. There's definitely scope for collaboration this year, and to see how he might be able to introduce athletes that he's working with to us, and also where he can support our business on our legal foundations, particularly around intellectual property, around our contracts and our agreements with athletes and brands and commercial partners. And as someone who did a law degree, I think it's extremely important to have those legal foundations and contracts and agreements in place right at the start. Don't wing it, don't use AI. Of course, I'm an advocate of using AI to streamline workflows, to speed things up, to deliver more impact for the business. But I think something as fundamental as legals and contracts, you've got to get that counsel from an expert. So yeah, we felt really positive coming out of that conversation that we're building something special with Fixture, and someone who's worked in the legal and commercial space for well over 25 years, having that vote of confidence was really, really important to us.
And then Tuesday, again, we were in Bristol, so basically I had no meetings on Tuesday, which is quite rare for me. Usually I've got quite a few meetings every day. Lewis had a day full of meetings, so he was taking those, and then I basically worked with my athlete brand manager hat on, and I did a lot of the content for the athletes we work with, and also commercial outreach and managing a few deals we've got on the table at the moment as well. So that took up the majority of my day, and then we travelled to London. I think it was about 7:30 we went across to London, and then because it was tube strikes, I didn't end up getting to my brother's until like, I think 11 p.m. I think it was, so it was a pretty long evening. But I had a very early start the next morning at, I woke up at, I think it was about 6 o'clock, because again there were tube strikes, and I was heading to Lords for a content shoot with Tamar Mills. Really exciting content shoot. It was the London Spirit 2026 100 kit launch. Lords, the home of cricket. You know, when I was growing up, I wanted to play cricket for England at Lords, and I haven't been able to do that, but I was walking on Lords, on the pitch, you know, creating content with Tamal, and I had to take a moment to think, wow, this is incredible. You know, often I'm very, you know, go, 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 and I don't often sort of stop to reflect and think about what I've achieved, what we've achieved as a business. And moments like that, you know, if I look back to sort of like 10-year-old me growing up wanting to play at Lords, I was there filming content with this camera actually with Tamal, and I was looking around sort of imagining I was playing, and that was pretty special, which was very cool. Met some great people at London Spirit. We've got a lot of opportunity this summer with Tamal to create some great content with the launch of his YouTube, and also all the BTS content across his short form platforms as well. So that finished up at about 12:30. Then I had a meeting with Amy from Squad Goals Global at 2 p.m. Myself and Lewis were on a panel with her up in Manchester for the Flair Financials Locker Room event. That was about 6 weeks ago now. She's worked in the sports industry for quite a while now. She's got so much experience. So like the same values as us, honestly. Like when we speak to people like Amy and we realise the value alignment, what she wants to achieve in the space, it's really exciting to be able to have those conversations and meet people like Amy, but also pursue potential partnerships and opportunities as well. So TBC, we're trying to figure out what a partnership or sort of collaborative effort can look like, but it's shaping up very nicely. That's what I can say for now. At 4 o'clock we had a meeting with a potential intern for us at FIXTURE, which was very cool. So we've gone through a whole process. You know, we've put together Google Docs where it shows sort of what the role would look like, KPIs, expectations, what we can offer for an intern. So yeah, that was really good. Hopefully we get the green light on that this week and we get started. So more on that very soon. And then I had an influx of meetings actually from 5 o'clock till 6. I spoke with Caroline Muller, Benfica and Denmark women's footballer. She's been doing amazingly on the pitch and off the pitch all season. She's just won the league with Benfica, which is amazing. And then her content has been sharing about all the BTS of her life as a professional footballer, but also leaning into fashion, lifestyle content. She's a big foodie as well. So we've shared lots, or she shared lots, and we've supported her through that for the last, I want to say about 10 months now we've been working with Caroline, which is very, very cool. So yeah, that was a great chat to catch up on all things content and commercial. Then had a meeting at 6 p.m. with Patrick, who works at Millions, which is an athlete to brand partnership platform that we use, which was very cool. So basically updating me on some of the latest features, so I'm sort of in the loop in terms of how to best optimize the platform. And then from 6:30 until 7:30 I spoke with Grace Gear. She is in the top 40, and we've been working with Grace for the past 6 months, which has been amazing. She regularly gets well over 1 million views per month across the social platforms, a lot of viral videos, and she's launching a business very soon as well, which we're supporting her with.
Every day this week, I have been starting conversations with athletes, predominantly on Instagram and LinkedIn. This is not to sell them anything. Right now, my mindset is, let's start conversations, let's get feedback on what we're building with FIXTURE, and of course if they're interested in what we have to offer and how we can elevate their brands, then fantastic. But it's really important, even when you've launched, to continue establishing that product market fit. Just because you've launched and you've got beautiful branding and you've got a nice website and you've got a real semblance of a business, you can still be testing your value proposition and fundamentally the services and the offer that we have to these athletes. So has some really positive feedback from the athletes that I had conversations with, and a few of those have converted into meetings that I'll be having in the upcoming week and weeks. In what is a very busy summer of sport, I think athletes are really seeing the importance of building their brands on social, and also the commercial opportunities that can be unlocked off the back of that. I think I mentioned earlier in the week that I'd had conversations with parents of athletes. In particular, I had 2 meetings with dads of young racing drivers. Now, both of these racing drivers are extremely ambitious with their racing, but they also know the importance of building their brands to get in front of potential sponsors who can help them enter competitions. Fundamentally, racing, whether that is Formula One or even the karting circuit, is an extremely competitive sport to get into, and it costs a lot of money. And something really important to me, a value of mine, if I'm ever speaking to an athlete that's 15, 16, 17, 18, I will always look to get their parent on board. I will never send a contract to a 16-year-old, 17-year-old and expect them to sign it. I think there's a moral obligation on agencies, and as a founder, someone that's 27 and is running an agency, and I want to sign these athletes to work with us, I absolutely want to get their parents' permission and also buy into what we are doing. So I can share more on that on another video potentially and do a deep dive on what our process is there, but that's really important to me, and I think there's that ethical and that moral obligation on founders to make sure that anyone that you're signing fully understands what they're getting into, they've fully read the contract, and they're ready to roll, and you're really clear on expectations on both sides. Sadly, I couldn't get to the 100 shoot with Time Out, one of our clients, on Wednesday. Ellie was at Lord's again, filming content for Time Out behind the scenes, doing some pieces to camera, and we're going to be rolling out his social content very, very soon. So watch this space. But yeah, I was sad to not be able to get there on Wednesday. Wednesday was a bit of a write-off for me, in all honesty.
And then Thursday I had a networking chat with Zach at 9 a.m. So he was quite curious about our rebrand from Press Upload to Fixture, and also just like my thoughts on the athlete marketing space, player-driven content. He is operating in the same space, and he was just wanting to have a catch up, which was nice. So every week I try and have sort of 2 or 3 conversations with people within the sports space, not even necessarily sport, but just people who want to reach out, have a chat, or who I've reached out to network, chat, and sort of get to know each other. So that was very cool. I then went from Elephant and Castle to Holborn, had a few in-person meetings there, so I prepped. There was the tube strikes again, so I got there quite early. Then at 11 o'clock I had a catch up with my friend Georgia. Now we went to university together, we both played for Exeter, it was our university, played in the cricket team, which was really cool. I've not played cricket for a while, I'm not sure if she still plays, but we played together for a few years, which was awesome. And she works at a company called Signify, and they are all about data insights and basically protecting athletes online from abuse. Social media can be the best place and the worst place in terms of like comments, negativity, and also protecting the safety of athletes on social platforms as well. So they're all about data, all about insights, and also protecting athletes on social media. So we were talking about some form of partnership or collaborative effort. I've been talking to Georgia for the last 12 months about doing something, and I think we're pretty close to being able to do something really concrete, which is exciting. I then met up with Alex and Nathan, who are co-founders of Invictus, who I mentioned. They were in person having some meetings around the Holborn area, so we met up for a coffee for an hour and a half, filmed some content, some video content, which will be going live across their socials over the next few weeks, which is really exciting. Then from 3:30 till 4 o'clock, I had a catch up with Lewis and Corey, so a bit of a team catch up, talking about a particular athlete and a workflow, and looking at commercial deals as well. So we have regular team catch-ups. Corey's in the US, myself and Lewis are UK based, so often Google Meet is what we have to revert to catch up. But yeah, really good catch up. And then into the evening, I headed back to Elephant and Castle and then worked on commercial outreach for the remainder of the evening. I'll always make it a priority every week to reach out to brands. We get a lot of inbound in terms of brands interested and actively reaching out to us via the athlete's email in their bio. Every athlete has got their own custom email, which is really cool. So name@fixtureofficial.com. So we do get a lot of inbound, but it's really important that as an agency we're very proactive to source as many deals as possible and as many good deals. So of course we do a lot of outreach to help that as well.
And on Thursday, I was feeling a little bit better, more like myself. So I had a lazy morning, but in the afternoon, I got back into deep work. I sent a couple of contracts to some athletes that we're bringing on board at the agency. And I also went for a coffee with a friend of mine who is a COO of a company. And my background is in operations. So we had some really interesting conversations about AI and automations and some of the most important areas that we can integrate AI in seamlessly with a business. I think it's very easy to get shiny object syndrome when it comes to AI. There's so many amazing tools out there that can obviously deliver a lot of impact for the business, but it's really important that you prioritize. You're not going to solve every one of your business problems overnight just because you get a fancy new AI tool. So I've identified 2 or 3 areas heading into May that we want to really double down on in terms of how AI and automations can streamline things there. Can we do the same amount of output? can we deliver excellent work for our clients without having to spend more and more of our time as co-founders on that area. So whether that's our content creation, social media support for our athletes, or whether it's the commercial and brand and sponsorship piece as well. And in terms of our PR and talent management, again, that is ripe for innovation when it comes to AI. So watch this space. We'll definitely share a lot more insights on how we're embedding AI into our business.
And then again on Friday, I was up very early. I was up at 5:45 this time to catch the train to Birmingham for Tube Fest, which is a YouTube conference, happens every year, and it was really cool. I've been posting, on YouTube since I guess 2021, so about 5 years now. And basically Tube Fest is a conference for anyone interested in YouTube, anyone working in YouTube, to learn more about the platform, to network, to collaborate, chat to one another. So we had talks from Laura Costa, we had talks from various influencers and content creators. We had a keynote talk from a guy who works at YouTube, who was basically sharing all of the updates on the platform, some of which are sort of coming out soon. So it was good to get kind of not early access, they didn't just share it at that event and not to anyone else, but basically a little bit more detail in terms of like features that are coming out, features that have been, out for the last 12 months, and making sure that I know as much as possible about the platform. I know a fair amount. I watch more YouTube than I do TV in terms of like consuming content. But we've got like 3 or 4 athletes now on the platform creating long form YouTube content. So it's really important that I speak to the right people. I'm educated about the platform and all of the latest features and so we can do the best job possible for our athletes on that platform from a creativity perspective, from a commercial opportunities perspective, and impact as well, right? Making sure the athletes are creating really good, high-level quality content, which is engaging with their fan base. And I'm biased to say it, but I believe our athletes are already doing that, which is really exciting. And they've got plans to be bigger and better, especially this summer. There's a lot of opportunity on the platform with the Women's World Cup, the 100, working with Danny Gibson and Tamar Mills. They're both on YouTube, which is awesome. So a lot of opportunity there, which we'll be, proactively pursuing.
And finally, I want to talk about Saturday. Yesterday was a great day. I was feeling brilliant. And after feeling so rotten for many days last week, it was so nice to feel productive and catch up with some friends. So in the morning, I had a business meeting at like 8:30 till 9:30, which was definitely a little bit too early for my liking on a Saturday, but it was really productive. Then I went to Richmond Park for about 3-4 hours, where Arthur, one of my close friends, runs Yes Club, and he did like a walk and talk with 5 or 6 founders around Richmond Park, and it was a beautiful day. It was a scorcher, definitely like early mid-20s, so it was nice to be outside in nature. There's deers, there is so much wildlife, and it's really good to have those mini resets within a week, especially living in central London. I'm from the northwest of England, and we have lots of green space and a lot of amazing wildlife, and I did a lot of stuff outside in my childhood, in my teens, in my early 20s before I moved to London. So it's good to be in nature. You're in central London, it's such hustle and bustle, lots going on, and Richmond Park is absolutely beautiful. If you've not been there and you live in London or you're coming to London, please go to Richmond Park. In the afternoon, I co-worked with Arthur for probably 4 or 5 hours. We got a lot done. He was writing his newsletter for his community and doing some business development and partnership stuff, and I was getting through my to-do list that I should have done last week but wasn't able to. And then we went for a drink or 2 in the evening, and then I went home and had a chilled one and was up today and cracking on with work as well. So hopefully heading into next week, the 3rd vlog for Fixture will be much more rich. We'll be sharing more content every day, as opposed to like today, where I've basically just done a speedy roundup of everything that we got up to last week.
We'll be back to normal vlogs from next week. We just wanted to change it up a little bit, less of kind of following us around, but actually more of a sit down, a chat. I should have had a cup of tea of some sort so I could sort of have a sit down and just like chill and chat to you guys. But yeah, our YouTube journey is really exciting. We've got lots of plans to share, like I said, everything, the highs, the lows, everything in between, and for you all to come on the journey with us as we build Fixture to what I mentioned we would hope and love for it to be the go-to athlete marketing agency globally. And yeah, excited for that, excited to go on the journey, and I'll stop chatting now because I've been talking for probably too long at this point. But thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment down below and subscribe if you're new, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.